Have you ever heard someone say, "Back in my day, we bought a house for $40,000 and raised a whole family on one income"? Sounds nice, right? But here's the thing, times have changed drastically. What boomers had in the 1980s isn't what millennials and Gen Z are dealing with today. Housing, wages, debt, cost of living, it's a completely different game. And today, we're breaking down exactly why millennials can't afford what boomers had, with cold, hard numbers that will shock you. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. If you're trying to understand the economics of modern life, or just want to feel validated about your financial struggles, you're in the right place. 1. Housing, the Great Price Divide. In 1980, the average home price in the U.S. was just $47,200. At that time, the average household income was around $17,700. That meant the typical house cost about 2.6 times the average income. It wasn't easy, especially with sky-high interest rates back then, but it was possible. Fast forward to 2024. The average home price in America is now over $412,000. Meanwhile, the average salary has only risen to about $59,000. That's a home-to-income ratio of 7 to 1, and in many urban areas, it's closer to 8x or even 10x. Even adjusted for inflation, housing costs have skyrocketed well beyond wage growth. Interest rates might be lower today compared to the 1980s, when mortgages were in the 12 to 18% range, but it doesn't matter if you can't afford the down payment in the first place. And let's not forget homeownership rates by age 30. For boomers, around 50% owned homes by the time they hit 30. For millennials, that number is down to about 42%. The American dream of owning a home? For many young people today, it's just that, a dream. 2. Wages and the exploding cost of living. Okay, so wages have gone up, but not nearly enough. In 1980, the average annual salary was about $17,710. By 2023, that's grown to $59,000. That might sound like a decent increase until you start looking at what people have to spend it on. Let's break down a few essentials that have outpaced wages by a landslide. College tuition. In 1980, a year at UC Berkeley cost around $700. In 2024, you're looking at $15,000 plus per year, and that's just tuition, not including housing, food, or textbooks. Rent. Back in the 1980s, monthly rent averaged $300 to $400. Now, the U.S. average is about $1,800 per month, and in major cities like New York or Los Angeles, it's double that. Groceries and essentials. A gallon of milk cost about $1.60 in 1980. Today, it's around $4.20. Gas. Around $1.19 per gallon then. Now, closer to $3.50 or more. Even when you account for inflation, wages just haven't kept up with the rising costs of essentials. Millennials aren't bad with money. They're just dealing with a world that costs way more to live in. 3. Debt and savings. The financial squeeze. Let's talk about debt. For boomers, student loans were either non-existent or manageable. Many went to college for free or paid off their tuition with a summer job. Today, the average student loan debt for millennials is around $33,500. Now adding credit card debt, which millennials carry at an average of over $6,000 per person. And don't forget auto loans, rising insurance premiums, and medical bills. It's a financial minefield. Savings? Boomers save more. In the 1980s, the average personal savings rate was between 10 to 13%. People could actually put money away for the future. Today, millennials are averaging a savings rate of about 4% if they're saving anything at all. And it's not because they're out spending on avocado toast. It's because after rent, debt payments, groceries, and just trying to survive, there's simply nothing left to save. 4. Jobs, retirement, and a new work reality. Boomers lived in a world of pensions, job security, and retirement confidence. Most stayed at a job for decades, and many retired at 62 with benefits, and a defined pension plan. That world barely exists anymore. Millennials, on the other hand, are navigating a gig economy. Job hopping is the norm, not because they're flaky, but because salaries are stagnant, benefits are weak, and loyalty isn't rewarded. Most young workers now rely on 401k plans, but with high living costs and debt, many can't even afford to contribute consistently. The numbers say it all. Over 70% of boomers felt confident about retiring by 65. For millennials, fewer than 30% think that's possible. 5. The cost of raising a family. Think raising kids is expensive now? You're absolutely right. For boomers, raising a child to age 18 costs about $65,000 to $100,000, depending on location and lifestyle. For millennials, that number has skyrocketed to over $250,000 plus. And that doesn't even include college. Daycare can cost $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Baby formula? Hundreds monthly. Medical care, diapers, clothing, extracurriculars, it all adds up fast. And if both parents are working, the cost of childcare alone can eat up a second income entirely. Many millennials are delaying or avoiding parenthood not out of choice, but out of sheer financial necessity. They're not entitled or lazy. They're making survival-based decisions in an economy that doesn't support young families. It's not just inflation, it's a broken system. So, when people say kids these days don't work hard enough, or I bought a house with a part-time job in the 70s, remember, the numbers tell a completely different story. Boomers weren't born into wealth. They just played a different game in a very different economic environment. Millennials are facing sky-high home prices, stagnant wages, crushing debt, and a shredded social safety net. They're working harder, earning less in real dollars, and saving almost nothing, not by choice, but because they're being squeezed at every angle. This isn't just a generation gap. It's a systemic economic shift that's changed the rules of adulthood for millions of people. Conclusion: whether you're a boomer who's curious, a millennial feeling the pressure, or Gen Z just getting started, these numbers matter. They tell the story of how our economy has evolved and why younger generations are struggling to achieve the same milestones their parents did. It's not about blame, it's about understanding. And if we want things to change, we have to start by recognizing the reality. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give it a like, and drop a comment below with your own experience. We're building a community where financial truth and empathy come together. Until next time, stay smart, stay strong, and stay informed.